Let me get to the everything. Okay. We are live. Okay, let me go live on Tonic. Hello. There we go. Alright. I got that set. What time is it? Alright. Hello, everybody. Today I will be working on the Bach Flute Sonata. I learned the first movement last week on last week's live stream. Well, I wouldn't say learned it. I got a good read of it last week, and today we'll work on the second movement. So let me get the sheet music up for y'all. Okay. That's half the screen, but that's fine. Yeah, that's the entire movement. Okay, so let me just play some notes and get ready for it. I haven't played yet. Okay, I need to adjust the stand a little bit. I've never listened to this entire flute sonata, so I don't know it, like how it's supposed to go. But I'll just go by this metronome marking. It says 56. Eighth note equals 56, so what is that? Okay, let's sight read a little bit. I'm gonna go past the second movement. I know I didn't play some of those rhythms correctly. Something like that. I'm grabbing some water. Okay. So that's a good playthrough of that, kind of, not really. So let me go back with the metronome from the beginning and just work on that. And try and find the phrasing and phrase it and where the music is in that. That's what I'll be thinking about as I play through this. And we're in D major. Yeah, I'm in the right frame. 1. I'm gonna put it in 6, have it click 6 beats so that I can be really be sure that I'm holding the note values correctly, so that when I go to the next measure I know I'm actually at the right one. 4, 5, 6. Okay, I did those rhythms correctly. So this first phrase, I'm gonna try and figure out the phrasing right now. So this first phrase, let me see. Let me play it again. That's kind of like, I wouldn't call that a full phrase, but it's 2 bars. It's probably gonna be 4 bar phrasing. Hold on, I need to turn. I forgot to turn the setting on my laptop to make sure it doesn't. Hi, Rena. To make sure that it doesn't. What's it called? Turn the screen off. So let me fix that setting real quick. Here you go. I have to get down here at the keyboard. Battery. I should have a sticky note to where I remember to turn this setting on when I go live. On battery. Never fall asleep. There we go. And never turn the screen off. Set. You play flute too? Nice. You're a professional flute, huh? I'm professional for flute. Please read my comments. Okay. Do I have any advice on how to practice to improve a skill not on flute? Well, with any skill, consistency, doing it every single day, or it depends on what the activity is, but for instruments, practicing every single day for like 10, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever the time frame it is, stay dedicated to doing that same amount of time each day and being consistent with it. And yeah, that's the biggest way to improve, is just never stop working on it, even if it's just a little bit every day. Okay, so let's go back to this. I'm gonna look at what the piano has on here. I don't have the piano score up for y'all, but it's got, I get just eighth notes, the eighth notes underneath, and it has a little blah, blah, blah. It has yes, that was very clear. It has at the end of the bar where I have rest, and then yeah, it has that at the end of every bar for these first 4 bars. It has something like that at the end of the first bar of the piano. In the right hand it does this. And then over there. into the third bar. Yeah, that's a natural. Okay, so something like that in the piano. It's pretty sparse, the accompaniment. It's not a whole lot. I mean, there is a lot going on, but not a whole lot. Okay. Let me go back to flute. What is the first chord? Yeah, and it's also in D major. So I'm going to go back to the flute part and work on this. I want to make those two notes a little bit more separated so that you can hear that I'm actually articulating on that second D. Okay, so. I am going to use the metronome. I'm going to turn it on just regular beat. I'm not going to have it click 6 beats since I'll be repeating multiple measures and I don't want to have to wait for it to start back on one. Yeah. I guess a little bit of space between that. Okay, so let me phrase that. Yeah, it's kind of the same thing there, but we're ending on the E instead of D. Okay, so let's do those 4 bars again. I want to do all of that again. I'm gonna need to play this a bunch of times to really hear where I want to go with it. So it's gonna be just a whole lot of me playing and thinking about it before I explain what I'm doing. That sounds off. Let me pull that tuner up. That's better. Let me put a... Actually, let me check my overall intonation. I'm going to put a drone on of D so that I can really listen and make sure. Okay. Oh, I need to turn this up. It's going to sound a little weird whenever we're not ending on D or where the chord is not a D major chord, but that's okay. Okay, starting in measure 5. We modulated to A, so I'm going to put, well, do we start? We don't do that until we throw in that G sharp there. Okay. Yeah, I'm just playing that G a little high. I need to bring the pitch down a little bit. You are 11 years old. Message retracted. Oh, thanks, Serena. I need to grab some water. Oh, hello. Y'all are talking on Tonic. YouTube is being annoying. Hello. Okay. Where was no, I'm working on the 5th measure. I just started from the beginning. And then we repeat back to the beginning. Okay, I kind of have an idea of what I'm doing, but not really, as far as phrasing goes, so I'm going to play that for y'all. I'm going to put the met back on, though, to really make sure I'm playing in time, because I feel myself wanting to drag. Okay, so on measure 4, I think I did a crescendo there or something. Let me play that again, and this time whenever I do something with the dynamics, I'm going to stop and write them in, if I like it. I kind of went a little quieter on that. Y'all aren't going to be able to see my markings since I just have a picture up on there and it's not projecting what I'm reading. But, so I'm going to start, I'll just tell y'all out loud, and you can mark it on music if you're trying to follow along. So measure 1, I'm starting at about a mezzo forte, and then I'm bringing it down just one dynamic level to like a mezzo piano in measure 2. I'm crescendoing through measure 2, and so we're back up to like, maybe a mezzo forte, maybe a forte. Let's see how that sounds if I go all the way to forte. And then maybe I'll bring it back down again, do that same kind of dynamics, bring it back down to mezzo piano at the start of measure 4, and crescendo. Let's see how that sounds. I didn't like that, so I don't think I should get quieter at measure 2 and measure 4. I think I should just crescendo through those bars. So I'll start at a mezzo forte, and then I'll crescendo through bar 2. I guess forte in bar 3, but not too loud, because that is not at all the peak of the piece. We're just getting started, so you don't want to give it away too soon. And then, whoop, what is happening? And then we'll crescendo. Come on. It's zoomed in and out. There we go. And then I'll crescendo and measure through measure 4. And then when we get to that other theme, I'll figure it out when we get there. I'm gonna do that again. Okay. I think we should bring the dynamic back down a little bit, just slightly, in measure 5. Go back down to a mezzo forte. Not too quiet, not too loud, just more in the middle, mezzo forte. And for all those moving notes, probably just have some, I would say a crescendo, but not truly a crescendo. It's just have motion with it and direction with it is what I'll be doing. And that trill is kind of a stopping point. Not really a stopping point, but an arrival point in measure 6. And then, yeah, just keep carrying that motion through the first ending. Okay, so let's go from the beginning, thinking about that phrasing. How many octaves in a flute? I assume that's what you're asking. 4, pretty much. Okay, I need to not breathe after the trill. If I'm gonna breathe, it should be after that A, 8th note tied to the 32nd note in measure 6. Don't breathe after the trill, because A is the tonic, and that's what we need to land on before we take a breath. Okay, so back to the beginning. Oop. Yeah, I don't want to breathe anywhere in those bars. It's only 2 measures, so I don't need a breath where I did breathe in measure 8. Okay, so let me do that. I'm just going to do that again from the beginning. Okay, I think I do need a breath. Just a quick one. I think a quick one would be fine after that D in measure 7 on the, what beat is that? 1, 2, 3, 4? Yeah. After the D in beat 4, before we go to that B 16th note tied to a 32nd note, that's a fine spot to breathe. So I'll start on measure 4, and then I'll breathe where I have breath marks, if you want to mark them. Actually, I don't like that. So I don't like that breath there. Hold on. Let me play this a few times and see where the best spot to breathe is. You could take a quick catch breath right there after those G's, and I think I will do that so that I can just really make sure I have enough so I don't have to breathe later in that. Okay. There we go. Let's turn this on. I could probably make that one breath if I was more intentional about breathing. So let me do that. Or being more aware of how much air I actually am taking in. I've found that whenever I am running out of air, or it's just really difficult, a lot of times, not even really changing how much air I breathe in, just how I think about it and how I feel it helps me last longer. Because if I'm thinking about how full my lungs are and that they're completely full, then I tend to make it further without really changing anything at all besides just what I think about. Okay. You could sneak a breath in there between those two Ds if you really needed it. You could sneak one in, but it needs to not be noticeable. Some breaths in music, sometimes the audience needs to know you're breathing, and sometimes you need to be sneaky about it, and it needs to be undetectable that you took a breath. And that's one of those moments you don't want to be detected. Sneaky breath. Need more water. Okay. that correctly. Okay. So on the repeat, typically in Baroque music, on the repeat you add in a little bit more ornamentations, little trills and turns and stuff. I'm not going to do that right now. I'm just going to get a base learn of this and come up with an interpretation. And then as I learn it more, I'll listen to recordings. But for my first read of pieces, I always like to just see what I can take out of it before I start listening to other people play it, so that I'm really exercising that skill of being able to find music in music without having to have a recording that I listen to. And I suggest everybody does that. Just start working on music without hearing a reference recording and really trying to see what you yourself can do. And then once you have a pretty good learn of it, then start listening to recordings and see what other people do. But start with your own interpretation first. Okay, so we're starting after the second ending. Let's see. I used this kind of F sharp. I'm going to use this F sharp, proper fingering. I'm not going to use that one. We'll use the real fingering. Even though we're going from E to F sharp, you can do that. That's the trill fingering. I'm not going to do that because it doesn't sound as good. Middle F sharp doesn't. It doesn't sound as good as the real fingering. I don't know if y'all can tell, but it is more muffled sounding with this fingering. This is the proper fingering, and it sounds better, so I'm going to use it. Articulate that a little harder. I'm not articulating enough. I don't think y'all can hear. I can't even hear it. The articulation. I know I'm doing it, but it's not clear enough, so there we go. Play all those notes. And C sharp trill, C sharp trill, C sharp to D, and that octave is your first trill key. Okay, so let's do all these notes. That's actually the end of the other phrase. Now these two bars. Let's see. Okay, I'm just gonna keep playing this until I get an idea of how I want to do it. Yeah, I want to grow through that. I want to crescendo and mirror what the notes are doing. Since the notes are going up, I want to get louder with it too. You could do it opposite. Let's actually see what happens what it sounds like when I decrescendo as we go up. But I don't think you should do that. I think you should build with it, but let's just see how it sounds. Yeah, I don't like that. And I think it was not that good whenever I did it, decrescendoing. I'd have to really, really exaggerate it. Grade? What do you mean grade? Oh, thank you. Thank you, Nim. Okay. Let's go from, again, after the second ending, measure 10. Okay. I want to do that. I'm just going to play a lot, okay? Yeah, that was not right. Okay. that's right. And it's the same as the second ending, so that's how it ends. Okay. Okay, I just need to redo that. Yeah, okay. I'm still not totally sure what I'm going to be doing with this ending part, but what I want to do is play with an accompaniment. So let me go to Flute Tunes. This is where I got the sheet music that's on the screen. I put a link to it in the description box if you want to download the sheet music. Flute Tunes is a really great website where you can download a lot of flute music, or a lot of music written for flute. They don't have just, they have arrangements from other instruments as well. Like they have I think all the cello suites arranged for flute. Yeah. They do a lot. They have a lot of music on there. So if you haven't ever looked at Flute Tunes, check it out. It's a great resource. I'm looking for the right page. Flute Sonata. I'm not looking at Bach. Cello suite, cello suite, cello suite. French suite, English, Goldberg variations. Keyboard. Orchestral suite. Partita. Sonata. There we go. Found the Flute Sonata. Yeah. Okay. I believe you can. Yes, you can. I'm gonna have to download this. You can. This is the. It's not gonna be a real piano sound. I think they actually have the. It's a harpsichord for the sound effect. So let me see if this will play while I open the other app. It does play. Okay, hold on. Okay, we're going to try this with the accompaniment. I think I'm going to read off the score so I can really see what the accompaniment is doing. So let me grab my pedal real quick to turn the page, to be able to turn the page. Okay, it's connected. All right, let's see how this sounds. That's the tempo. For some reason, reading it off the score really threw me off. Okay, let me do that again. Let me do it correctly. And turn this down a little bit because that was loud. from the beginning again. Yeah, it's really close together on the score. It's harder to read. Okay, let me do that again though. Hearing the accompaniment really helps with the phrasing. Alright, that really helped, hearing what the accompaniment is doing in there. How long have I been going for? 9 minutes? Okay. I have a little bit more time. So, I didn't realize, which it feels silly to have not noticed this, but we're in B minor, starting at measure 10. Or I guess we're going to modulate to B minor, and we're in B minor by measure 11. I didn't notice that until I heard it in the accompaniment. So I think what I'll do, I'll just play this again and with this accompaniment track and try and do it better. Hopefully it's not too quiet or too loud, and it's good balance between me and this recording. Okay, let's just play it again, and then I think that'll be a good stopping point for this. Okay, and that is the end of the stream. So thank y'all for watching. Yeah, 3:31. Let me write down the time. I'm done with my practice. But thank y'all for watching, and subscribe if you're not subscribed and you want to see more videos like this. See another live stream next week, and I do a lot of etudes, duets, and I do play along videos if you ever want to play with me, and I do a scale every day. So yeah, that's all I have to say. Thank y'all for watching, and see you next time. Bye.